To all the people still hoping that something good will come out of this administration, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, this one might change your mind, or you might continue hoping for a better day in the future. Tinubu has once again shown that he knows exactly what he's doing, not in a way that you think. Anything that is wrong to a reasonable mind, anything that is generally accepted as being wrong, someone with an agenda, someone that has an objective, will never see it as being wrong. To them, it is the right thing to do. Now to the subject. Can you imagine that Aso Rock is going solar? Not that it is a bad thing, after all it is good for the planet, but if Aso Rock goes solar, do you know the implications? Is that not an acceptance that they have failed in delivering power supply to Nigerians? Many issues, but let's start with the reason they are going solar. Number one is the high cost of electricity. Can you imagine? Shouldn't this be a shock back to reality? Shouldn't all his advisors tell him, we didn't know when we increased the tariff, so it has come to this. Despite the fact that Aso Rock is funded by Nigerian taxpayers, they don't spend a penny. Refreshments, food, everything in Aso Rock is funded by Nigerians. So imagine they now understand that it is expensive for them. It is expensive for people living on freebies. How about the people suffering every day, toiling hard to make sure they can earn a living? At the end of the day, they pay taxes to fund their frivolous lifestyles. How about these people? How are they going to get that money to go solar like the people in Aso Rock? According to the extensive report by Punch newspapers, they've budgeted 10 billion naira for a 14 megawatt solar mini grid for Aso Rock. Like already said, the major reason is because of high electricity costs. The second being high energy costs. Yes, they have increased petrol price, increased electricity tariff. Monthly electricity bill for Aso Rock stands around 28-30 million naira per month, depending on how they consume. And Aso Rock is supposed to be classified in Band A or any band above Band A, but they still spend more than 80 million naira on diesel. It's not clear if this is for 1 month. Yes, let's give them the benefit of doubt. The fact that they spent more than 80 million naira on diesel purchases under a period of 1 month doesn't necessarily mean that all the diesel they purchased must be used in the same time period. They are on Band A, which means power supply must be up to 20 hours per day. So the remaining 4 hours, let's assume that they depend on diesel. Why should diesel purchases to run Aso Rock be up to 80 million naira per month? It doesn't make any sense. So maybe they just purchase diesel to be used. Whenever it runs down, they will purchase more. Now, you can understand that they are spending millions of naira every month on electricity bills. They're also spending millions on diesel purchases to run generators. So it makes sense for them to go solar. It makes sense, that's right, but it means that they will no longer be suffering the epileptic power supply all Nigerians face on a daily basis. Because of unreliable, expensive and epileptic power supply in Nigeria, business owners are forced to borrow money from financial institutions at a very high interest rate of close to 30%. Now they have to invest this money in going solar. Otherwise, they won't be in business. Money they are supposed to invest in stocking up raw materials for their operations. So now, Aso Rock is in agreement. They are doing exactly the same thing, but with a difference. They have access to Nigerian treasury. It is free of charge. Business owners don't have that access. They have to borrow money. That's if they ever qualify. And even if they qualify, they have to repay with a 30% interest rate. So it means that they know exactly what they are doing. They understand all this. It's just that they have an agenda. What's that agenda? To impoverish Nigerians, to reduce their purchasing power, to plunge them in absolute poverty. Yes, that's their motive. So this is proof that it is not what some Nigerians think about Nigerian leaders. Most times when you see people make references, they say, Nigerian leaders don't experience what ordinary Nigerians experience on a daily basis. This is the proof you need. They experience the frustration of power cuts, the epileptic power supply. They experience it. If not, why are they going solar? Imagine a business having to rely on public utility. Imagine a business that doesn't have money to go solar. that means that business is headed for the end and all the workers will be sacked. This is exactly what is happening in Nigeria. Also, going solar means that the epileptic power supply in Nigeria will never be solved, at least under this administration. They will no longer be able to know the performance of the utility companies because they are no longer connected to it. When you go solar, you are off-grid, you enjoy solar energy, you have nothing again to do with any disco, Abuja disco, whichever disco in Nigeria. So with ministers, wealthy people, the top 1% in Nigeria going off-grid, it means that poor Nigerians will soon be the remaining customers of these discos. That means power supply will never improve in Nigeria anymore, especially under this administration. Because if all the people that are supposed to hold them to account to at least pass budget, put in the effort to make sure power supply improves, if all of them are no longer connected to the national grid, how are they going to know what is happening? Also remember, the same administration that is taking Aso Rock off-grid is planning to ban importation of solar panels. One wonders if the solar mini-grid in Aso Rock will be built with imported solar panels or locally manufactured ones. Another implication of taking Aso Rock off-grid is that it sends a message to any potential foreign investor in Nigeria. If Aso Rock can go off-grid, that means they don't have confidence in the power utility companies in Nigeria. They are frustrated about their services. That's why they are abandoning the utility companies to go solar. So it means that any foreign investor, wherever you want to invest, whichever sector in Nigeria, you must be ready to generate your own power, which of course will increase the cost of doing business in Nigeria because it doesn't just end at generating the power. You have to run maintenance. Even going solar, you don't just stop spending. Inverters run the power, they convert the energy from DC to AC and vice versa. So if they go out, you have to replace or service them. So these are running costs. Unlike when you are connected to the utility company, you don't have any business in maintenance. You only maintain your equipment you use to run the factory. Whatever happens, the power utility company will come there and solve the problem. If a transformer goes out, they will come and replace it at no cost to you. Unlike what goes on right now in Nigeria, in many communities, they contribute money to buy new transformers and install. Remember that when they install this transformer, it no longer belongs to them. It becomes the property of the utility company. All these go on and they don't see it. They see it. It's just that they have an agenda. They don't want to improve services. They don't want to improve your lives. They want you to remain in poverty. It's not by accident that all the energy sources, diesel, petrol, gas, even electricity have been made expensive. Now they are targeting solar. They want to ban importation of solar panels. So how do you not see that there is a motive? There is an agenda that they are working on. They want to make sure that productivity never thrives in Nigeria. Yes, you can't produce anything. You can't power machines without energy. No, it can't happen. So all the energy sources you have to rely on, they become expensive. Even the naira you use to buy them have been devalued to near worthless level. So how can anyone say that all these are not intentional? They have an agenda and they are prosecuting it perfectly. It's not possible to embark on economic reforms without at least leaving one lifeline. Yes, bundling everything together to call them reforms doesn't make any sense. No country has ever survived that way. Before this administration came to power, Nigerians used to buy petrol for 185 naira per litre, at worst 200 naira per litre depending on where you live in Nigeria. At that time, all a business owner needed to do was to buy a small genset, buy petrol and run his business without relying or depending on the epileptic power supply. But now, there is no way anyone can buy petrol to run his business, not to talk of diesel. When Aso Rock is running away from buying diesel, how much more a small business owner who is managing maybe a capital of 1 or 2 million naira? So you can see they are not clueless. They know what they are doing. And you must understand that they are after your life. If someone wants to impoverish you, that means the person is after your life. Thanks for watching.